Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to part 4 of our 4-part crisis strategy series. And today's topic is the search and social crisis strategies, pivoting with direct response channels to build sales and long-term customers. Once again, I want to thank our partners at Barr, new CFHLA members this year who have offered these weekly seminars to the membership complimentary. So for those of you who have been able to join us for all 4, including this one, we appreciate your time. At the end of this program, I will also discuss where to find and how we can get you the recordings should you want to go re-review them, attend any that you were unable to attend live, or share those with your team members. Before we go ahead and get started today, as always, I'd like to offer just a few CFHLA updates for you. Number one, the CFHLA offices will begin reopening next week in a part-time capacity with staff working some alternating days. And then starting on June 1st, we will be in the office back full-time. So anything you should need from the CFHLA team, you'll be able to reach us there in the office. Additionally, last week on this call, this webinar, I noted that the Disney Springs complex has started to talk about their reopening plans, with May 20th being the first date that they will start to do a phased reopening. And then I believe May 27th, they have some more shops and stores that are going to begin to open. We were not sure exactly of Universal and City Walk, and then as you all probably saw yesterday, City Walk began their phased reopening, and it looked like, from what I've been able to tell, everything went fairly smoothly. The face masks, facial coverings were utilized, temperature checks, etc. So that is some great news for the Central Florida destination, that we are beginning that process with the theme parks. I've been on a few calls this week with several general manager groups, and it also appears that many of our properties who were previously closed due to the coronavirus have begun their reopening processes between now and June 1st as well. Lastly, this morning, my update for you is that CFHLA has secured Patrick Mayock of STR, who last gave his presentation to the membership in February, right when we were just starting to learn about coronavirus and wondered if that was going to hit us. And now here we are just a couple months later, and he will have a completely new outlook for the Central Florida region. So that seminar is going to be on May the 27th at 10 a.m. We've sent out registration. If you did not see that email, it will also be included in today's back of the house presentation. Make sure to register, send that out to any of your team members. We're utilizing the STR platform, which can hold up to 1,000 attendees. So there is plenty of space to include as many of our lodging community as possible. Okay, now let's go and review the previous seminars and talk about today again. Part 1 was our crisis communication. Part 2 was the media crisis strategies. Part 3 was our creative messaging crisis strategies, and then part 4 today, the search and social crisis strategies. Again, you'll see that those links are included. This deck will be sent out to you at the end. Should you have any questions that come up during today's presentation, please utilize the chat box or the questions on your screen, and we will get those answered prior to the end of this meeting. Additionally, we will have a 1-question survey pop up at the very end of the presentation, so please make sure to just submit your response for that before you log off. Okay, now I'd like to introduce our presenters for today. We have David St. John, who is the Senior Media Analyst, and Zach Bauer, who is the Paid Social Media Specialist for Barr. So David and Zach, I'll now turn it over to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Erin, for the introduction, and also thanks to everyone who joined us this morning. So I'm Zach. I'm the Paid Social Media Specialist here at Barr, and I'm responsible for our paid social strategy, planning, buying, and implementation and reporting. So I've been working in Orlando ad agencies for going on 4 years now, and I've had the opportunity to work with clients across pretty much all verticals, but most of my experience has been in travel and hospitality, the restaurant vertical, and the CPG vertical. So yeah, I'll turn it over to David now.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning and happy Friday. I'm David St. John. I am the Senior Media Analyst at Barr. At the agency, I'm responsible for pulling together cross-channel insights and performance for our roster of clients and providing that performance data as well as any recommendations on a regular basis. Prior to joining Barr, I spent several years over at Universal Parks and Resorts, and I was on their digital media and global marketing analytics team, working across their paid media channels for display, mobile video, paid search, and paid social, while focusing on their ad technology capabilities as well. I also worked on campaigns to launch and sustain 4 new hotel properties for that brand, among others, as their destination has expanded during my tenure there. And then just to kind of give you a little bit of background on Barr, we're the oldest, the largest, and the most comprehensive advertising agency in Central Florida. We work with a lot of great regional and national brands with a focus on 4 core verticals, including travel and hospitality, restaurants, retail, and healthcare. For over 63 years, we've been a part of the Central Florida community, working hard to develop long-term successful partnerships. It's our partnership with the Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association that connects us all today. We hope that our experience can provide each of you with some fresh insight and help you navigate some of the uncertainty that lies ahead. We're a full-service advertising agency, advertising and marketing agency, providing one of the most comprehensive solutions under one roof. We have 4 core pillars that make up our solution offering: research and strategy, creative production, public relations and social influence, and of course, for today's discussion, which we'll be diving into the world of media and analytics, focusing on paid search and paid social. Today, the main topics that Zach and I will be covering are current search trends that we're seeing in the market, some of the free platform support materials that are available to you, how to create long-term value, as well as what we're seeing in the travel industry and what brands are getting right. And then we'll leave you with some reemergence and recovery thought starters to help you reignite your business, especially around messaging and tone. Diving into some of the trends, we wanted to see what was trending for users on Google search using the Google Trends tool, and see what was trending outside of coronavirus while people were coping with this disruption in their everyday life, right? So these are just a few of the standouts. We saw a spike in queries about how do I cut my own hair. We also saw how do I bake bread. And then another one that I'm sure a lot of people are dealing with right now are how do I keep my kids entertained. And then another one, which I'm guilty of, was how to make coffee. And it wasn't necessarily how to make coffee, but there was a whipped coffee craze that was kind of taken over in the beginning of March that I kind of jumped on to figure that out. Just kind of wanted to call out some of these things because I think it's important to remember that trends are something that we need to tune into. In the long run, understanding the motivations and thoughts behind consumer behavior will help us figure out what's important to them in the long run. So when we need to, we can pivot our clients' messages and their value propositions and refine the dials, if you will. We also noticed that there were a couple of search queries that may have seemed weird a couple months ago that maybe don't seem as weird now. For instance, drive-by birthday parties spiked by about 5,000%. And then there were some search trends, which Zach will go ahead and get into, that were reassuring to the human spirit.
Yeah, these were great. We thought they conveyed a sense of community, so we really wanted to just call these out really quick. So how to 3D print masks to donate to hospitals, how to help food donation, helping the community, how to volunteer, all point to a great sense of community. And it was just some really feel-good stuff that we found going through our research for this. So on this slide, you can see a Google Trends report from the last 90 days, including coronavirus, which is represented by the blue line, among other popular topics. So typically, news, sports, and weather dominate in these trend reports. So what this does is a great job of illustrating how intense the coronavirus takeover has been as far as dominating the news, the media, really all facets of our life. Okay, so online trends in advertising have shifted dramatically since the virus hit. As we know, most advertisers have responded to the crisis by decreasing their spend significantly and in some cases completely, which has led to a 33% decrease in ad spend across industries. Digital usage, however, has seen a significant rise. And what this has led to is decreased competition in ad auctions. So in short, the cost per impression across platforms has fell, and advertisers that are in the market right now are seeing their ad budgets go much further than they were before the crisis. In response to these uncertain times for companies, a few of the big ad tech platforms have stepped up to provide affected businesses with help. Google, for example, has announced a commitment of $340 million in ad credits to small and medium-sized businesses through the end of the year. Now, the details regarding the disbursement of these ad credits are still yet to be determined, but we've included a link in the slides that you can reference for the latest updates. In addition, Think with Google, which is a powerful free business tool, has launched a page specific to coronavirus. This new page has helped consolidate all of the available resources, articles, and perspectives from Google that focus on planning and strategy through the crisis. And we'll be sending out copies of the presentation, so you'll be able to access all of these links that we're talking about with the slides. Facebook has also been active in the pursuit of helping small businesses navigate this situation. They've updated their business resource hub with tips, training, modules, and resources to assist businesses in communicating through their social channels. Facebook has also provided some high-level industry playbooks that break down an effective advertising response by each vertical. So we've attached the travel vertical industry playbook here, and the playbooks for the other verticals can be found in that business resource hub link. One thing to keep an eye out for is that Facebook announced $100 million in cash grants and ad credits at the onset of the crisis. So we just wanted to call that out because there might be a second wave coming. So it's just good to keep an eye out for that. Another thing that launched last week was Instagram Support Small Business stickers. So how this works is any small business or their fans can feature a small business on their story by accessing the small business sticker during post creation. The post will tag the business, which promotes page visits from that account's followers. In addition to that, the stories are compiled, the stories with this sticker are compiled and added to a shared story at the top of an Instagram user's home feed. The best part about this is that if users are sharing your business with the sticker, you can share their posts and generate even more awareness for your business. So encouraging your fans to use the sticker and tag you is great. And it's also a free way to push incremental awareness. And now I'm going to pass it over to David.
Yeah, so we wanted to go ahead and talk about some great example with how brands are creating long-term value. So some of the things that we wanted to go through in this section were building trust and adapting to help customers through the crisis, and how these brands are becoming community allies. Proposing new offers that generate future interest and action, as well as introducing customers or guests to offerings that they may not be aware of. Is there something in the trends under today's climate that is appealing to the consumer that may not have been top of mind before? And then reinforcing your brand's advertising effectiveness. So what we saw from Four Rivers Smokehouse was a great example of becoming a community ally. They offer to provide select grocery items with pickup orders. Items like produce, toilet paper, eggs were now part of their menu, which was new to them, right? Outside of the great food that they offer. They also partnered with the nonprofit organization Feed the Need Florida to provide free lunch and discounts to frontline healthcare workers. They were also consistently updating customers on changes that affected the operation of their business, such as their operating hours, any kind of curbside pickup procedures, and the like. On the topic of building trust, what we saw from Hilton was that they had partnered with Lysol and the Mayo Clinic to help develop Hilton's Clean Stay initiative. I mean, how great is this partnership that we're talking about, where a major international hotel chain is now considering, it's now considering Lysol, which is trusted by many consumers to kill germs, that they're now citing it in their marketing materials with co-branded imagery. Now, these elevated hygiene protocols have set new standards, such as a clean room seal, the deep cleaning of high-touch areas in guest rooms and amenity areas, contactless check-in, and guest-accessible disinfecting wipes. For brands adapting to help their customers through the crisis, we have a great example from the efforts of Icelandair. In the early days of the crisis, there was a major disruption in travel with all of the travel restrictions that were being enacted. Icelandair had to not only change their messaging, but figure out what type of messaging was going to make the biggest impact on their business. So they had to pivot their search headlines from "let us get you to wherever you're going" to "let us get you home and we're still flying." They also included site link extensions within their ads, highlighting their new flexible booking policies and safety measures, such as well as their peace of mind policy. As consumer confidence increases and travel restrictions decrease, they're likely to flip their messaging again to get their travelers back to wherever they were going.
Awesome. So moving into our second method for creating long-term value, businesses can propose offers now that generate future interest and even action. For example, let's look at DoorDash's recent campaign. So in response to the restaurant crisis, DoorDash has offered its delivery services 100% commission-free to restaurants. By offering this now, DoorDash is simultaneously helping providing some much needed help to restaurants and also setting up memberships that could outlast the crisis. Another great example of this is our client, Ruth's Chris. So with uncertainty surrounding the restaurant vertical, Ruth's wanted to keep their loyal customers in the loop. To address this, we implemented a Facebook lead gen campaign, allowing users to subscribe to the email list right within Facebook. And that email list is what Ruth's uses to communicate with their customers. So the seamless data collection allowed us to grow their email list significantly. And in addition, we offered a free dessert with each email sign up. So that will promote additional foot traffic once their dining rooms reopen. So kind of a 2-for-1 there. And then moving on to our third method for creating long-term value, we wanted to look at introducing customers to offerings they may not have been aware of, especially the offerings that have become more relevant during this crisis. For example, Hilton was able to take advantage of the recent trend involving parents searching how to keep the kids entertained at home. So they offered these coloring pages that provided kids and their parents a fun stay-at-home activity while also tying that activity into their brand. As you can see, they put some of their destinations into the coloring pages. Another great example of this is our client, Badcock Furniture and More. So Badcock is first and foremost a furniture retailer, and the and more side of their business is typically overlooked by customers. They also sell appliances, electronics, and even bikes. So when the crisis affected their furniture sales, we noticed in our trend research that the need for their and more products was rising. So we recommended to pivot their messaging strategy to include these items. We ran the carousel ad on the right with the phrase, "We're more than just furniture," and helped grow this revenue stream to replace the losses they felt from the decrease in their furniture sales. And finally, considering the situation we face where ad spend is down, we wanted to talk about reinforcing your advertising effectiveness. Even if advertising efforts are pulled completely, there's steps a brand can take to ensure a strong comeback when things begin to return to normal. So applying for verification badges in social, studying audience insights and trends, ensuring your business information and hours are up to date across Google and Facebook, even diving into your pixel placement on your site for both retargeting and conversions are all opportunities to kind of reassess the foundation of the platforms that you use to promote your business. So some of the benefits you'll see from implementing these practices are increased credibility, higher search ranking in both Google and in social channels, and a better understanding of your core audience. And now I'm going to pass back to David.
Yeah. So for brands, we just kind of wanted to go ahead and give you some additional examples of social that's being done right. Now, these weren't necessarily sponsored posts. These were just natively updated to their social feed. So we wanted to look inward at our own market and see how our world-class travel destinations were engaging with their dedicated fan bases and millions of followers across all their social feeds. So on the screen right now, we have Universal Orlando Resort, which gave users a front row point of view on some of their popular thrill rides like the Incredible Hulk and Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket roller coasters. And then what we saw from Disney Parks, they had actually turned over the control of their social handles to their essential security guards on both coasts, which provided a behind-the-scenes look at their domestic properties while the gates were closed to the public and only their skeleton crew had access to the magic inside. And then diving into to some of the changes that we saw in the Google search engine result pages, or their SERP, we wanted to go ahead and take a look at this screenshot from before pre-coronavirus. The first 3 paid text ads are from the OTAs, Expedia, Hotels.com, and Booking.com. And then below that is the Google one box of search results that take users into Google's own travel booking pages. Now today, looking at the search hotels in Orlando, Google travel search results are basically unrecognizable. So now paid text ads are not featured at the top of the SERP, and we only have a window into Google's own travel booking pages. Interestingly, below the fold, underneath Google's travel business box are organic free links that go out to the OTAs that had previously been typically found in travel search purgatory, about 3 or 4 pages deep in the results, which presents an interesting opportunity to work with a partner outside of Google or Bing. Over the past few years, Expedia has acquired most of the OTAs, building a behemoth of valuable first-party travel data across their recognized domains. And we wanted to showcase a quick video that does a great job of explaining their program of travel ads.
Travel Ads extends your reach to a targeted and relevant audience as they're searching for travel, giving you a competitive advantage in your market, all at the price you want and with incredible flexibility. Travel Ads allows you to target both domestic and international travelers. Travel Ads online tools are easy to use and allow flexible, targeted, and premium ad placements that yield immediate room night growth and return on ad spend. Travel Ads uses a bid for placement system to automatically publish your ad in premium locations. This happens when a visitor's search matches your ad's criteria, allowing you to target travelers when they're looking for lodging in your area. You control your budget by setting a maximum amount you're willing to pay when someone clicks your ad. As the advertiser, you don't pay a thing until someone clicks. That's constant free exposure for your property until someone clicks your ad.
So this is a powerful tool that can unlock a lot of potential, and I'd strongly advise scoping out this offering as we lean into ways that we can best reemerge.
Okay, and looking ahead to reemergence and recovery, we're happy to share that we've found some really encouraging data and trends moving forward. So take a look at this reassuring statistic. According to a consumer survey, 41% of consumers are ready to hear from brands about topics unrelated to the pandemic. We know that number is only going to grow. People are also asking, when will travel restrictions be lifted? That query has grown by 1,100% over the last month. And now looking at some additional search query increases over the past month, can I travel across state lines? 450%. When can we travel again? 500%. Our hotel's open right now, 1350. And our hotel safe during COVID, 3,200% increase, which is the likes of what you'd see from maybe flowers right before Valentine's Day. So huge increase. And what we can kind of extrapolate from these query trends is that, one, consumers are eager to be able to travel again. That's kind of obvious. But two, travel safety is of critical importance to these potential travelers. So now that we understand what's currently important to potential future travelers, we can discuss how to address their concerns in ways that align with creating long-term value and getting the right message across. First, communicate any change in service that may help travelers feel at ease. We found this Marriott example introducing their Commitment to Clean initiative, which goes over all of the updates they've made that take their guest safety into top priority. So this is a great example of a brand that really has a pulse on what the consumer wants and is communicating it in an effective and thoughtful way. Next, we'd recommend that hotels and airlines communicate updates in their cancellation and rebooking policies. With the uncertainty around travel, customers are extra sensitive to protecting their purchase. So giving them peace of mind here is critical. And we wanted to include this example from Delta, where they are providing flexibility to rebook travel all the way through September of 2022. When reopening, communicate your open dates and offers, any offers that you may have, clearly, and focus the messaging content on hospitality. So appearing pushy here would kind of be insensitive to the situation. So try to use welcoming verbiage when you're posting these things, such as "we're here when you're ready," or "when you travel again," etc. So we found great examples here from Sandals and Atlantis. They're both communicating in a positive manner while also getting their respective messages across.
And then what we also know is that customers need to be reassured at this time that their travel plans are flexible, and if the unexpected continues, that their travel investment with their money is essentially safe. So we recommend messaging that should focus on reassurance, travel safety, and security, similar to how Iceland Air has kind of highlighted their peace of mind policy to put travelers at ease. Another opportunity that presents itself is drive markets. Being that Orlando is one of the top tourist destinations with more annual visitors than anywhere else in the country, area hotels can typically target the entire US with blanket coverage, inclusive of top DMA feeder markets. However, with reopening varying by region and now it's coming in phases, refined location targeting is an important consideration, especially as travelers may be looking for destinations within driving distance of their home. So definitely recommend developing a strategy to target geographic locations within driving distance to your hotel. Paid search and paid social offer dynamic messaging capabilities to target these markets with message specificity. Say, for instance, if you wanted to use miles and or travel time from a user's location to your property in your ads copy. And then luckily, we're centrally located between a handful of large and mid-sized DMAs. And don't forget to target our own DMA as well in Orlando, as locals and park annual pass holders are likely considering staycation options as well. Lastly, we wanted to provide a summary of some key takeaways from our presentation today. definitely recommend taking advantage of the free planning tools and insight tools offered by platforms like Google and Facebook. Take the time to really use these tools and reevaluate your platform foundations. Is everything set up correctly for a relaunch in the next couple of weeks? And then definitely pay attention to your creative messaging and content to ensure that you are communicating reassurance, safety and security, as well as flexibility. We definitely don't want to appear tone deaf during these times. And then lastly, you want to think about your targeting and your segmentation strategy to ensure that you're reaching the right customer with the right message. We'd like to go ahead and at this time, go ahead and open up the floor to any questions. All right, it looks like we have a question that came in. As we are starting to see phased openings, what would you recommend I do now in search and in social? Well, I guess what you can do now is on both of those channels is to keep the communication flowing on your social feed, reminding potential guests that you're ready, that you're preparing for their arrival when they're ready to travel again. Definitely want to go ahead and refine your approach. As we kind of talked about before, it's like double checking that foundation, checking out your trends, take a look at your keywords, any kind of negative keywords that you might want to add as well. And then double check and see if there's any sites that you want to go ahead and add to your blacklist. And then look into the geolocation targeting levers that you can pull in these platforms as well, as they'll likely be your phase one targets and prospects. And then it looks like we got another question. Maybe Zach, you can take this one. Can anyone use the tools you mentioned in Facebook and Google? And who qualifies for the small business Instagram stickers?
Okay, yeah. So the first part of that question, Google Trends, Think with Google, Facebook Business Hub are all free tools that we're going to link in the slides when we send them out, and anyone can use them. If you have access to Facebook Business Manager, you should have access to Facebook Audience Insights, and that's another great tool that allows you to kind of, you select your audience based on Facebook data, and you can kind of play with the levers of what your core audience is interested in. Maybe there's some things that index particularly high. So those are all great things to look into when you are thinking about relaunching. And then the second part was who qualifies for small business Instagram stickers. That is kind of up in the air because there's no real restrictions on it. You can, as a consumer or a business, you can tag the handle of the business, and there's no real there's no cutoff as far as how big the business is, for example. So it's important that you understand that when Instagram launched this feature, it was in support of small businesses. So you definitely don't want to have that tone deaf message if you're a huge chain of hotels. You don't want to promote yourself with that small business sticker. But if you were in that position, you might promote a smaller business to show solidarity, for example.
Yeah, and then maybe for this next question, maybe Doug, if you could go back a couple of slides. We have another question that's asking us to go ahead and summarize the Google and Facebook, the free tools that we have listed on this slide right here.
Absolutely. So I guess to start, you can use Audience Insights, like I mentioned, to kind of go through all of the indexing and what your core audience might be into other than your page, for example, their demographics, there's all sorts of levers that you can pull, and when you're in there, it's kind of fun to play around with it and see what kind of insights you can get, because there's some things you may not even know that you can understand about your audience when you're in there. I wrote down store locations, and what that means is if you're a hotel, for example, you might want to make sure that everything's up to date. If you're closed, make sure that it says you're closed, or if you have updated hours, for example. I know, as an example for me, I went out to lunch the other day, and I went to a restaurant that will remain nameless, but they said they were open, and I walked across downtown to get there, and they were closed. So that was that kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So you definitely want to make sure that you're aligned, and that goes for Google as well. They can find your business information in Facebook or Google when they're interested. Audience manager. So you kind of, if you're doing advertising, you definitely want to make sure that you're creating not only segmented retargeting audiences, but lookalike audiences based off of those, and making sure that you're toned into, if you're using interest audiences as well, that the interest audiences make sense for your brand, that you're getting the right people, which you can also refine going back to audience insights. So you can take those interests that you found index high and put them in your campaigns. Final thing I wanted to talk about was Pixel Helper. And that is just a great tool in Facebook that allows you to kind of see where your pixel is placed on your site and what exactly you're tracking. So you want to make sure that you understand exactly how people are interacting with your Facebook ads or even organic posts, and then from there, what they're doing on your site. So now going over to Google, I would say that the trends is great. It's just googletrends.com basically is how, or trends.google.com is how you get to it. And you can put any topic against any topic, keyword, type of media, anything, and get and also manipulate the date to really get any sort of information that you want about what has captivated the public, which is really powerful. Keyword Planner, which if you would have to have a Google Ads account to access this tool, but you can see the keyword data as far as trends go, how competitive the keyword is, and what the average bid on the keyword is, and that's extremely powerful for diving into some of these trends for what consumers are interested as far as when travel comes back. Audience Manager, same thing as in Google as it is in Facebook. There's not as many levers you can pull as far as like creating an audience based off of post engagement, but you can still do retargeting and segment it in certain ways. And then the same thing for conversions. You just want to make sure that when people interact with your ads, what are they doing when they get to your site?
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and before we go, we have a poll that we'd like to go ahead and have you, our audience, answer. So while this poll is up now, we did want to go ahead and thank you for your time this morning as well. So we'll leave that poll up there for you to go ahead and take, and then that wraps up our session today. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you everyone for attending. I just want to once again thank Barr for their support and offering these seminars to the CFHLA members, and then David and Zach this morning for offering this presentation. As mentioned, you will receive an email that will include the slides and a link to this presentation. So in those slides, you'll be able to follow those links that were discussed this morning, as well as all of the previous seminars. So if you need anything else or need contact information to reach out to any of the Barr presenters, please just reach out to me and I'll be happy to pass along that information if you do not have it. So Thank you, and I hope that everybody has a great Friday and a good weekend.